Oleksandr Oleksandrovich Usyk was born on January 17, 1987, in Simferopol, a city in Crimea, which was then part of Soviet Ukraine. His early life was shaped by a mix of family love, economic hardship, and a determination that would later make him one of the greatest boxers in the world. Growing up in a region marked by political and cultural complexities, Oleksandr's childhood was far from easy, but it built the foundation for his incredible journey from a small-town kid to a global sports icon. Oleksandr was born into a working-class family. His mother, Nadia, came from Chernihiv, a city in northern Ukraine known for its historic churches and quiet rural life. His father, also named Oleksandr, was from Sumy, another northern Ukrainian city. The elder Oleksandr had served in the Soviet military during the war in Afghanistan, a grueling experience that left him with stories of survival and sacrifice. After his service, he worked various jobs to support the family, while Nadia took on physically demanding work in construction to help make ends meet. Together, they instilled in their son a sense of discipline, hard work, and pride in their Ukrainian roots. The Usyk family lived modestly in Simferopol, a city nestled in the Crimean Peninsula, surrounded by mountains and the Black Sea. In the late 1980s, Crimea was a melting pot of ethnic Russians, Ukrainians, and Crimean Tatars, with a rich but tense history. When Oleksandr was born, Ukraine was still part of the Soviet Union, and life was stable but not luxurious. The family lived in a small apartment, and money was often tight. Oleksandr's parents worked long hours, and like many families in the Soviet era, they relied on a tight-knit community to get by. In 1991, when Oleksandr was 4 years old, the Soviet Union collapsed. Ukraine became an independent nation, but the transition brought economic chaos. Jobs were scarce, inflation soared, and many families, including the Usyks, struggled to afford basic necessities. Crimea, in particular, faced uncertainty as its diverse population grappled with questions of identity and loyalty to the new Ukraine or to Russia. The Usyk family felt the strain of these changes, and eventually, they decided to move to northern Ukraine, closer to their ancestral roots in Chernihiv and Sumy. This move was tough. Leaving behind their home in Simferopol meant starting over in an unfamiliar place, but it was a chance for a better future. As a young boy, Oleksandr faced challenges that went beyond money troubles. When he was 6 years old, he fell seriously ill with pneumonia, a dangerous lung infection. He spent months in and out of hospitals, hooked up to machines and fighting to breathe. Doctors were not optimistic, warning his parents that he might not survive. For Nadia and Oleksandr Sr., it was a terrifying time. They stayed by their son's side, praying for his recovery. Against the odds, Oleksandr pulled through, but his health remained fragile for years. Doctors advised that physical activity could help strengthen his lungs and body, planting the seed for his later love of sports. Despite his health struggles, Oleksandr was a lively and curious child. He loved playing outside, running through the streets of Simferopol with friends, and dreaming of adventure. His parents encouraged his energy, hoping it would keep him strong. Oleksandr was particularly drawn to soccer, a sport that captivated kids across Ukraine. By age 10, he was enrolled in a local sports school in Simferopol, training to become a professional soccer player. He idolized stars like Brazilian striker Ronaldo and dreamed of scoring goals in front of huge crowds. Soccer was more than a game. It was a way to escape the hardships of daily life and imagine a brighter future. However, soccer came with costs. Training fees, uniforms, and travel to matches were expensive, and the Usyk family couldn't keep up. Oleksandr's parents hated seeing their son's dreams slip away, but they had to be practical. One day, his father sat him down and suggested trying a different sport, boxing. It was cheaper, requiring little more than gloves and a gym membership, and there were local boxing clubs in Simferopol that welcomed kids. Oleksandr, now 15 years old, wasn't sure at first. He had never thrown a punch or stepped into a ring, but he trusted his dad's advice and decided to give it a shot. In 2002, at the age of 15, Oleksandr walked into a boxing gym in Simferopol for the first time. The gym was a no-nonsense place, grimy, loud, and filled with the sounds of gloves hitting pads and sweat dripping on the floor. The coaches noticed Oleksandr's athleticism right away. He was tall for his age, about 5 feet 8 inches, and lanky, with quick feet honed from years of soccer. His southpaw stance, leading with his right hand and foot as a left-handed fighter, caught their attention. It was unusual and gave him an edge, as most boxers weren't used to facing lefties. At first, Oleksandr struggled. Boxing was nothing like soccer. It demanded precision, timing, and the ability to take a hit. He wasn't a natural puncher, and his early sparring sessions were rough. Other kids in the gym, some with years of experience, outclassed him. But Oleksandr had something special. Heart. He showed up every day, even when he was sore or discouraged. His coaches saw his potential and nicknamed him the Cat because of his quick, graceful movements in the ring. Unlike many young boxers who relied on raw power, Oleksandr moved like a dancer, dodging punches and weaving around opponents. His parents were supportive but worried. Boxing was a brutal sport, and Nadia, in particular, feared for her son's health, especially after his childhood illness. Oleksandr promised her he'd be careful and work hard. He told her that one day he'd use his boxing earnings to buy a big house for the family, a promise that stuck with him as he grew. To ease her fears, he focused on technique over brawling, learning to outsmart opponents rather than just outpunch them. This approach would become his trademark, setting him apart in a sport often dominated by brute strength. Growing up, Oleksandr looked up to more than just soccer stars. He was inspired by Ukraine's boxing heroes, like the Klitschko brothers, Vitaly and Vladimir, who were rising to fame in the 1990s and early 2000s. The Klitschkos, both heavyweights, showed the world that Ukrainians could dominate boxing, and their success gave Oleksandr a sense of pride. He watched their fights on TV whenever he could, studying their movements and dreaming of one day standing in a ring with the world watching. Beyond sports, Oleksandr was shaped by his family's values. His parents taught him to stay humble and work for everything he wanted. His father's stories of surviving the Afghan war gave Oleksandr a sense of resilience, while his mother's faith in the Orthodox Christian Church introduced him to spirituality. Even as a teenager, he began praying before training sessions, finding strength in his belief that hard work and faith would guide him. Crimea's unique environment also left its mark. The peninsula was a place of beauty, with its beaches and mountains, but it was also a region of tension. Ethnic Russians, Ukrainians, and Crimean Tatars lived side by side, but political debates about Crimea's place in Ukraine were common, even in the 1990s. As a kid, Oleksandr didn't dive into politics, but he felt a strong connection to Ukraine. His family's move to northern Ukraine reinforced this, as they settled in a region where Ukrainian language and culture were central. These experiences gave him a quiet patriotism that would later shine through during Ukraine's struggles. By his late teens, Oleksandr was fully committed to boxing. He trained for hours each day, balancing school with gym time. His coaches pushed him hard, teaching him the jab, hook, and uppercut, but they also emphasized strategy. They saw that Oleksandr wasn't the strongest puncher, but his speed, footwork, and ability to read opponents were special. He spent hours shadow boxing in front of a mirror, perfecting his form, and studying fight tapes of legends like Muhammad Ali, whose quick feet and clever tactics resonated with him. School wasn't Oleksandr's favorite place. He was an average student who preferred the gym to the classroom, but he stuck with it to please his parents. He graduated from high school in Chernihiv, where the family had settled, and briefly considered college. However, boxing was calling louder. By 2006, at age 19, he was competing in amateur tournaments across Ukraine, winning local and regional titles. His amateur record began to grow, and he caught the attention of national coaches who saw him as a future star. Oleksandr's early life wasn't just about sports. It was about overcoming odds. From a sickly child to a teenager chasing dreams in a tough sport, he learned to push through pain, doubt, and hardship. The economic struggles of post-Soviet Ukraine, the move from Crimea, and the pressure to succeed for his family gave him a fire that burned bright. He carried a promise to his mother to make her proud and a vision of becoming a champion. These early years forged a disciplined heart and technical skill that would carry him to the top of the boxing world. Oleksandr Usyk's amateur boxing career was a crucible where his talent, discipline, and unique style were forged. From his first steps in a Simferopol gym at age 15 to winning Olympic gold, this period transformed him from a skinny teenager with soccer dream into one of Ukraine's greatest amateur boxers. His amateur years, spanning roughly from 2002 to 2012, were marked by rapid growth, international success, and personal tragedy. They laid the foundation for his professional career and established him as a national hero. When Oleksandr stepped into a boxing gym in 2002, he was a 15-year-old with no experience but plenty of determination. The gym in Simferopol was a gritty place, filled with the smell of sweat and the sound of gloves smacking heavy bags. His coaches saw potential in his athleticism, honed from years of soccer and his southpaw stance, which made him tricky to face. At 5 feet 8 inches and lean, he wasn't the most powerful, but his quick feet and sharp reflexes earned him the nickname the Cat. He started in the light heavyweight division, up to 178 pounds, where his speed gave him an edge. Early on, Oleksandr was a standout. His first sparring sessions were humbling. More experienced boxers landed punches he couldn't counter, but he was a quick learner. His coaches taught him the basics, how to throw a jab, move his feet, and protect his chin. More importantly, they saw his work ethic. Oleksandr showed up every day, even after tough losses, and spent hours perfecting his technique. He studied fight tapes of legends like Muhammad Ali and Roy Jones Jr., admiring their ability to outsmart opponents. This focus on strategy over brute force became his signature. By 2005, at age 18, Oleksandr was competing in local and regional tournaments in Ukraine. Boxing was a big deal in the country, with a strong amateur system supported by Soviet-era traditions. He faced tough competition. Ukraine produced many skilled boxers, including future pros like Vasyl Lomachenko, who would become his friend and rival. Oleksandr's early fights were a mix of wins and losses, but he improved fast. His amateur record began to grow, and by 2006, he was winning national youth tournaments, catching the eye of Ukraine's national boxing team. In 2006, Oleksandr moved up to the senior level, competing in the light heavyweight division at national and international events. Ukraine's boxing program was intense, with centralized training camps where athletes lived and trained together. Oleksandr relocated to Kiev for these camps, leaving his family in Chernihiv. The camps were grueling, 6 hours of daily training, including sparring, bag work, and conditioning. He thrived under pressure, bonding with teammates and learning from top coaches like Anatoly Lomachenko, Vasyl's father, who emphasized technical precision. His first big international break came in 2006 at the European Junior Championships, where he won a bronze medal. At 19, he was competing against boxers from Russia, Germany, and other powerhouses. The bronze was a sign of his potential, but Oleksandr wasn't satisfied. He wanted gold. In 2007, he entered the Stranja Cup, one of Europe's oldest amateur tournaments, held in Bulgaria. He fought his way to the final, showing off his slick footwork and ability to dodge punches. Though he didn't win the tournament, his performance put him on the radar of international scouts. By 2008, Oleksandr was ready for the world stage. He qualified for the Beijing Olympics, representing Ukraine in the heavyweight division, up to 201 pounds. At 21, he was one of the youngest in his weight class, facing veterans like Clemente Russo, an Italian boxer with a fearsome reputation. Oleksandr reached the quarterfinals, but lost to Russo in a close match. The defeat was a bitter pill. He felt he could have done better, but it fueled his drive. He returned to Ukraine determined to improve, spending hours analyzing his fights and refining his style. Later in 2008, Oleksandr got his first major international title at the European Amateur Boxing Championships in Liverpool, England. Now 21 and more confident, he dominated the heavyweight division. His fights showcased his growing skill set, quick jabs, fluid movement, and a knack for frustrating opponents. In the final, he faced Bulgaria's Tsenko Tsenkov and won a decisive victory, earning gold. The win was huge for Ukraine, a country proud of its boxing tradition. Oleksandr returned home a hero, with fans and media calling him the future of Ukrainian boxing. The European title boosted his confidence and reputation. He began training with even more focus, moving between Kiev and Simferopol to work with different coaches. His style evolved into something unique, a blend of speed, defense, and ring intelligence. Unlike many heavyweights who relied on power, Oleksandr used angles and feints, making opponents miss and then countering with sharp punches. Coaches compared him to a chess player, always thinking 2 moves ahead. In 2011, Oleksandr reached new heights at the World Amateur Boxing Championships in Baku, Azerbaijan. By now, he was 24 and at the peak of his amateur game. The tournament was a big deal. The winner would qualify for the 2012 London Olympics. Oleksandr fought through a stacked field, including boxers from Russia, Cuba, and Kazakhstan, countries known for producing elite amateurs. In the final, he faced Timur Mammadov of Azerbaijan. The home crowd was loud, but Oleksandr stayed calm. He outboxed Mammadov, using his footwork to control the ring and landing clean punches. He won gold, cementing his status as one of the world's best amateurs. The World Championship win was a turning point. Oleksandr's amateur record was now over 300 wins, with only a handful of losses. He was known for his clinical style, precise, controlled, and hard to hit. His southpaw stance confused opponents, and his ability to switch between defense and attack made him a nightmare to face. The victory also secured a spot in the 2012 Olympics, giving him a chance to chase the one prize that had eluded him, Olympic gold. The 2012 London Olympics were the pinnacle of Oleksandr's amateur career. At 25, he was in his prime, with years of experience and a polished style. He competed in the heavyweight division, facing tough opponents like Russia's Artur Beterbiev and, once again, Clemente Russo. This time, Oleksandr was ready. In the semifinal, he outclassed Beterbiev, a future professional champion, with a masterclass in footwork and counterpunching. In the final, he met Russo, his old rival from Beijing. The fight was close, but Oleksandr's speed and smarts won out. He took the gold medal, standing on the podium as Ukraine's anthem played. The Olympic win was a dream come true, but it came with heartbreak. Just 2 days after his victory, Oleksandr learned that his father had passed away. Oleksandr Sr. had been battling illness, and the news hit hard. Before the final, Oleksandr had called his dad from London, sharing the excitement of reaching the championship bout. His father, weak but proud, told him, "You're my champion." Those words stayed with Oleksandr, driving him to win. He dedicated the gold medal to his father, carrying the memory of their bond into every fight that followed. Oleksandr's amateur career ended after the 2012 Olympics with an incredible record of 335 wins and 15 losses. He competed in over 350 bouts, winning titles at the European Championships, World Championships, and Olympics. His success wasn't just about medals. It was about how he fought. His technical skill, quick feet, and ring IQ set him apart in a division often dominated by power punchers. He became a role model for young Ukrainian boxers, showing that smarts and hard work could beat raw strength. These years also shaped his character. The discipline of training camps, the pressure of international competition, and the loss of his father taught Oleksandr resilience. He carried his country's pride on his shoulders, especially as Ukraine faced economic and political challenges. His Olympic gold made him a national icon, and fans began calling him Sasha the Great, a nod to his skill and charisma. By 2012, Oleksandr was ready to turn pro. He had nothing left to prove in the amateur ranks. His coaches and teammates, including Vasyl Lomachenko, who also won gold in 2012, encouraged him to take the next step. With his father's memory in his heart and a nation cheering him on, Oleksandr prepared to enter professional ring, ready to chase new dreams. Oleksandr Usyk's professional boxing career is a story of dominance, ambition, and defying the odds. Turning pro in 2013 at age 26, he quickly rose from a promising newcomer to one of the greatest boxers of his generation. His journey took him from unifying the cruiserweight division to conquering the heavyweight ranks, defeating giants like Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. By July 2025, with an undefeated record 24-0, Usyk stands as the undisputed heavyweight champion, a testament to his skill, heart, and relentless drive. After winning Olympic gold in 2012, Oleksandr was ready to leave the amateur scene. He signed with K2 Promotions, a Ukrainian company run by the Klitschko brothers, and made his professional debut on November 9, 2013, in Kiev, Ukraine. His first opponent was Felipe Romero, a Mexican journeyman. Oleksandr, fighting in the cruiserweight division up to 200 pounds, showed the same slick style that defined his amateur career. His quick feet and sharp jabs overwhelmed Romero, leading to a fifth-round knockout. The crowd in Kiev roared for their hometown hero, and Oleksandr knew he was on the right path. The early years of his pro career were about building experience. He fought frequently, taking on opponents in Ukraine, Germany, and Poland. By 2014, he was 5-0, with most wins by knockout. His southpaw stance, 78-inch reach, and ability to slip punches made him a puzzle for opponents. He trained under James Ali Bashir, an American coach who had worked with Vladimir Klitschko, and later Anatoly Lomachenko, who helped refine his technical game. Oleksandr's fights were clinical, less about brute force and more about outsmarting his rivals. In 2015, he faced tougher tests against South African Johnny Muller. He showed his power, stopping Muller in the third round. Later that year, he fought Pedro Rodriguez in Kiev, knocking him out in the seventh round. These wins earned him a shot at a world title. On September 17, 2016, Oleksandr challenged Krzysztof Glowacki for the WBO cruiserweight title in Gdansk, Poland. Glowacki was a tough, aggressive champion, but Oleksandr outboxed him over 12 rounds, winning by unanimous decision. At 29, he was a world champion in just his 10th pro fight, a remarkable feat. Oleksandr's cruiserweight reign was historic. In 2017, he joined the World Boxing Super Series, WBSS, a tournament designed to crown an undisputed champion by pitting the best cruiserweights against each other. Oleksandr was eager to prove he was the best. His first WBSS fight was against Marco Huck, a German veteran with a 40-3 record. In Berlin, Oleksandr dominated, stopping Huck in the 10th round. The win earned him respect in Europe and set up a bigger challenge. In January 2018, he faced Marijs Briedis in Riga, Latvia, for the WBC cruiserweight title. Briedis was a hometown favorite with a powerful right hand. The fight was Oleksandr's toughest yet, a 12-round war that tested his endurance. He used his footwork to avoid Briedis' power shots and landed precise counters, winning by majority decision. Now holding both the WBO and WBC titles, Oleksandr was halfway to his goal of unifying the division. The WBSS final came on July 21st, 2018, against Murat Gassiev in Moscow, Russia. Gassiev, an undefeated Russian with a 26-0 record, was a heavy puncher and held the WBA and IBF titles. The fight was billed as a clash of titans, with the winner becoming the undisputed cruiserweight champion. Oleksandr put on a masterclass, moving like a dancer and landing crisp combinations. He outboxed Gassiev over 12 rounds, winning a lopsided unanimous decision. At 31, he held all four major belts, WBA, WBC, WBO, and IBF, plus the prestigious Ring Magazine title. He was the first Ukrainian to achieve undisputed status in any weight class. After unifying the cruiserweight division, Oleksandr faced a choice: stay at 200 pounds or move up to heavyweight, where fighters were bigger and the stakes were higher. He chose the challenge. In 2019, he vacated his cruiserweight titles and began campaigning as a heavyweight, a division with no weight limit. At 6 feet 3 inches and around 215 pounds, he was smaller than most heavyweights, who often weighed 240 pounds or more. Critics doubted he could compete with the division's giants, but Oleksandr was confident in his skills. His heavyweight debut came on October 12, 2019, against Chaz Witherspoon in Chicago. Witherspoon retired after 7 rounds, unable to keep up with Oleksandr's pace. The win was a solid start, but his next fight against Derek Chisora on October 31st, 2020, was a real test. Chisora, a British veteran, was heavier and known for his relentless pressure. The fight in London was close, with Chisora landing hard shots early. Oleksandr adjusted, using his speed to wear Chisora down, and won by unanimous decision. The victory silenced some doubters, but showed he'd need to adapt to the heavier punches of heavyweights. Oleksandr's biggest opportunity came on September 25, 2021, when he challenged Anthony Joshua for the WBA, WBO, IBF, and IBO heavyweight titles at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London. Joshua, a 6 feet 6 inches British star with a 24-1 record, was a massive favorite. At 240 pounds, he towered over Oleksandr, who weighed 221 pounds. Fans and experts questioned whether Oleksandr could handle Joshua's power and size. But Oleksandr had a plan: move fast, stay sharp, and outbox the bigger man. The fight was a clinic. Oleksandr danced around the ring, landing jabs and combinations while dodging Joshua's bombs. By the later rounds, Joshua was exhausted, his face swollen from Oleksandr's punches. The judges scored unanimously for Oleksandr, making him the new heavyweight champion. Ukraine celebrated, and the boxing world took notice. At 34, he had done what few thought possible. On August 20th, 2022, Oleksandr faced Joshua again in a rematch in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. The stakes were high. Joshua had trained hard to reclaim his titles. The fight was closer, with Joshua landing heavy shots, but Oleksandr's ring IQ shone through. He outmaneuvered Joshua, landing precise counters and winning by split decision. The victory solidified his place among the heavyweight elite and set the stage for an even bigger challenge. In 2024, Oleksandr took on Tyson Fury, the WBC heavyweight champion, in a fight to become the first undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis in 1999. The bout, held on May 18, 2024, in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, was a clash of styles. Fury, at 6 feet 9 inches and 260 pounds, was a giant with a long reach and tricky movement. Oleksandr, at 6 feet 3 inches and 223 pounds, was the underdog. The fight was intense, with Fury landing hard punches early. But Oleksandr's speed and heart turned the tide. In the 9th round, he rocked Fury with a flurry of punches, scoring a knockdown. The judges gave him a split decision, and Oleksandr became the undisputed champion, holding all 4 major belts. On December 21st, 2024, Oleksandr faced Fury again in a rematch in Riyadh. This time, he left no doubt. He dominated with his footwork and combinations, winning by unanimous decision. The boxing world hailed him as one of the greatest, with a record of 23-0, 15 knockouts. His next fight, scheduled for July 26, 2025, against Daniel Dubois at Wembley Stadium, is a rematch of the 2023 bout, where Oleksandr won by knockout, with a reported $132 million purse. It's one of the biggest fights in boxing history. By July 2025, Oleksandr's professional record stands at 24-0, with 15 knockouts. His net worth, estimated at $50 million, reflects his success in high-profile fights. His style, technical, fast, and smart, has made him a fan favorite and a nightmare for opponents. He's one of only 3 boxers, alongside Evander Holyfield and David Haye, to unify the cruiserweight division and win heavyweight titles. His victories over Joshua, Fury, and others have earned him a spot among the all-time greats, with many calling him the best pound-for-pound boxer in the world. Oleksandr's professional career is more than wins and belts. His fights carry the pride of Ukraine, especially during the ongoing war with Russia. Each victory is a moment of joy for a nation facing hardship. As he prepares for his next challenge, Oleksandr remains a symbol of skill, resilience, and determination, proving that a smaller fighter with a big heart can conquer any giant. Oleksandr Usyk is known worldwide as a boxing legend, but his life outside the ring reveals a man deeply rooted in family, faith, and his Ukrainian heritage. His personal story is one of love, sacrifice, and a commitment to his country, especially during its most challenging times. From his role as a devoted husband and father to his actions during Ukraine's war with Russia, Oleksandr's life off the canvas shows the heart behind the champion. Family is at the core of Oleksandr's life. In 2009, he married Yekaterina, known as Katerina, a woman from his hometown of Simferopol, Crimea. Their relationship began years earlier, rooted in shared values and a deep connection to their Ukrainian roots. Katarina has been by his side through every step of his career, from his amateur days to his rise as a global star. Oleksandr often speaks of her as his rock, saying she gives him strength to face the toughest fights. Together, they have 4 children, 2 daughters, Yelizaveta and Maria, and 2 sons, Kirilo and Mikhailu. Oleksandr is a hands-on dad, despite the demands of his boxing career. He shares glimpses of his family life on social media, posting photos of playing with his kids or celebrating milestones like birthdays. He said that coming home to his children's smiles after a fight is better than any title. His promise to his mother, made as a teenager, to buy a big house for the family came true after his professional success. The Usyk family now splits time between homes in Ukraine and abroad, depending on his training and fight schedules. Raising 4 kids while maintaining a high-profile career isn't easy. Katarina manages much of the home front, allowing Oleksandr to focus on training. He credits her for keeping the family grounded, especially during tough times like his training camps abroad or the war in Ukraine. Oleksandr's love for his family shapes his decisions. He fights not just for glory, but to secure a better future for his wife and kids. After his 2024 victory over Tyson Fury, he dedicated the win to his children, saying they inspire him to keep pushing forward. Oleksandr's Orthodox Christian faith is a cornerstone of his life. Raised in a religious household, he grew up attending church with his mother, Nadia, who instilled in him a belief in God's guidance. As an adult, he carries his faith into every aspect of his life. Before fights, he prays in his corner, asking for strength and protection. After victories, he often thanks Jesus Christ, pointing to the sky or wearing a cross necklace as a symbol of his beliefs. His faith also influences his character. Oleksandr is known for his humility. Even after becoming a global superstar, he avoids trash-talking opponents, a rarity in boxing, and treats everyone with respect, from fans or rivals. In interviews, he said that his faith keeps him calm under pressure, whether facing a tough opponent or the challenges of fame. During his amateur career, when he lost his father just after winning Olympic gold in 2012, his faith helped him cope with the grief. He's spoken about feeling his father's presence in the ring, guiding him through tough moments. Oleksandr's spirituality also connects him to Ukraine's cultural traditions. The Orthodox Church is a big part of Ukrainian identity, and his public displays of faith resonate with fans back home. In 2022, during Ukraine's war with Russia, he visited churches to pray for peace, sharing messages of hope with his followers. His faith isn't just personal. It's a way to inspire others in a nation facing hardship. Oleksandr's love for Ukraine defines much of his personal life. Born in Crimea, a region with a complex history, he has always identified strongly with his Ukrainian heritage. When Russia annexed Crimea in 2014, Oleksandr was vocal about his belief that Crimea is part of Ukraine. This stance became even more significant in February 2022, when Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. At the time, Oleksandr was in London, preparing for his rematch with Anthony Joshua. The news hit him hard. He couldn't bear being away while his country suffered. Within days, Oleksandr returned to Kiev and joined the Territorial Defense Battalion. He traded boxing gloves for a rifle, patrolling the streets alongside other volunteers. Photos of him in military gear, standing at checkpoints, spread across social media, inspiring Ukrainians and fans worldwide. He spoke openly about his duty, saying, "I don't want to fight, but if my country needs me, I'm here." His actions showed his courage when beyond the ring. He was ready to risk his life for Ukraine. However, his time in the defense battalion was short. Wounded soldiers and fellow boxers, including Vitaly and Vladimir Klitschko, urged him to return to boxing. They believe his victories on the world stage could lift Ukraine's spirit more than his presence on the front lines. Vitaly, the mayor of Kiev, told him, "You can do more for us by winning." Oleksandr agreed, but the decision wasn't easy. He felt torn between fighting for his country and fighting in the ring. In the end, he chose to return to boxing, dedicating every fight to Ukraine. Since 2022, Oleksandr's victories have carried extra weight. His wins over Joshua, Daniel Dubois, and Tyson Fury became symbols of Ukrainian resilience. After each fight, He's waved a Ukrainian flag and spoken about the war, raising awareness and funds for relief efforts. In 2024, he donated part of his fight purses to rebuild schools and hospitals in Ukraine. Fans call him a warrior for the people, and his fights are watched by millions in Ukraine, often broadcast in public squares despite air raid sirens. Oleksandr's life isn't all about boxing. He's a man of many interests, showing his versatility and curiosity. One surprising venture is his love for soccer, which dates back to his childhood dreams of going pro. In 2021, he signed a one-year contract with FC Policia Zhytomyr, a Ukrainian soccer club, as a publicity stunt to boost the team's profile. At 34, he trained with the team and even played in a friendly match, showing off his athleticism. While he didn't pursue soccer seriously, the experience was a nod to his first love. He's also dabbled in esports and technology. In 2022, Oleksandr co-founded Ready to Fight, a blockchain-based platform connecting boxers, coaches, and fans. The project aims to help young fighters find opportunities and build careers, using digital tools to modernize the sport. Oleksandr's involvement shows his forward-thinking side. He wants to give back to boxing and support the next generation. Oleksandr has a playful side, too. He's known for quirky moments, like dancing the ring after fights or doing impressions of other boxers. His sense of humor shines in press conferences, where he often cracks jokes or sings Ukrainian folk songs. These moments endear him to fans, showing he's not just a fighter but a charismatic personality. By July 2025, Oleksandr Usyk's personal life reflects a man balancing global fame with deep-rooted values. His family keeps him grounded, his faith gives him strength, and his love for Ukraine drives him to inspire others. The war has shaped his perspective, making each fight a chance to honor his country. Outside the ring, his ventures into soccer, esports, and charity show a man who wants to leave a legacy beyond boxing. Oleksandr's story resonates because it's relatable. He's a father who loves his kids, a husband who cherishes his wife, and a patriot who stands up for his people. His net worth, estimated at $50 million, gives him comfort, but he remains humble, often saying, "Money comes and goes, but family and faith are forever." As he prepares for his next fight, Oleksandr carries the hopes of Ukraine and the love of his family, proving that his greatest strength lies not just in his fists, but in his heart. Oleksandr Usyk's legacy is one of triumph, resilience, and inspiration. By July 2025, at age 38, he stands as one of boxing's all-time greats, an undefeated champion who conquered both the cruiserweight and heavyweight divisions. His impact goes beyond titles and records. He's a symbol of hope for Ukraine, a role model for athletes, and a figure who redefined what it means to be a champion. From his technical brilliance in the ring to his courage during Ukraine's war, Usyk's story is about overcoming odds and leaving a mark that will last for generations. Oleksandr Usyk's boxing record is staggering. 24 wins, 0 losses, with 15 knockouts as of July 2025. His journey began in the cruiserweight division, where he became the first Ukrainian to unify all 4 major world titles, WBA, WBC, WBO, and IBF, in 2018. His victories in the World Boxing Super Series against top fighters like Marius Briedis and Murat Gassiev showcase his technical mastery. Moving to heavyweight, a division where he was often the smaller man, he defied expectations by defeating giants like Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. His 2024 win over Fury made him the first undisputed heavyweight champion since 1999, a feat he cemented with a decisive rematch victory later that year. Usyk is one of only 3 boxers, alongside Evander Holyfield and David Haye, to unify the cruiserweight division and win major heavyweight titles. His style, built on speed, footwork, and ring intelligence, sets him apart. Nicknamed the Cat for his elusive movements, he outsmarted bigger, stronger opponents with a chess-like approach. Boxing experts rank him among the best pound-for-pound fighters ever, with some calling the greatest of his era. His ability to stay undefeated while facing elite competition, from Krzysztof Glowacki to Tyson Fury, places him in rare company alongside legends like Muhammad Ali and Floyd Mayweather. His upcoming fight against Daniel Dubois on July 26, 2025, at Wembley Stadium, a rematch of their 2023 bout, is expected to draw millions. with a reported $132 million purse, one of the largest in boxing history. It underscores Usyk's global star power. Win or lose, his place in boxing history is secure. He's not just a champion, but a pioneer who showed smaller fighters could dominate the heavyweight division through skill and heart. Usyk's legacy is inseparable from his role as a Ukrainian hero. Born in Crimea and raised in a country facing economic and political challenges, he embodies the grit of his people. When Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, Usyk's response defined his character. He left a training camp in London to join a territorial defense battalion in Kiev, ready to fight for his country. Though he returned to boxing at the urging of fellow Ukrainians, his victories became a rallying cry for a nation at war. Each time he raised a Ukrainian flag after a win, he brought hope to millions watching back home, often in bombed shelters or war-torn cities. His fights against Joshua in 2021 and 2022, Du Bois in 2023, and Fury in 2024 were more than sporting events. They were moments of national pride. Ukrainians gathered in public squares to watch, cheering as Usyk's wins showed the world their country's strength. He's donated millions from his fight purses to rebuild schools, hospitals, and homes in Ukraine, earning him the nickname Warrior for the People. In 2024, he spoke out against corruption in amateur boxing, calling it rotten and advocating for fairness, further cementing his role as a voice for change. Usyk's connection to Crimea adds depth to his legacy. After Russia's 2014 annexation, he firmly stated that Crimea is part Ukraine, a stance that resonated with many Ukrainians. His patriotism, combined with his global platform, has made him a cultural icon alongside figures like the Klitschko brothers. As Ukraine continues to face challenges, Usyk's story inspires young people to dream big, no matter the obstacles. Usyk's influence extends beyond boxing. His faith as an Orthodox Christian shapes his humility and compassion. He's known for treating opponents with respect, avoiding the trash talk common in boxing. After defeating Tyson Fury, he praised Fury's skill and hugged him, a gesture that won hearts worldwide. His faith also guides his charity work, from supporting Ukrainian war victims to funding youth sports programs. His ventures outside boxing show his versatility. In 2022, he co-founded Ready to Fight, a blockchain platform to help young boxers find coaches and opportunities. The project reflects his desire to give back to the sport that made him. His brief stint with FC Policia Zhytomyr, a Ukrainian soccer club, in 2021 showed his love for sports and his willingness to try new things. These efforts make him a role model for athletes who want to build a legacy beyond their sport. Usyk's charisma also adds to his impact. His playful antics, like dancing after fights or joking in press conferences, make him a fan favorite. He starred in documentaries and commercials, bringing Ukrainian culture to a global audience. His ability to connect with people, whether through a smile or a speech about peace, makes him more than a boxer. He's a cultural ambassador. As of July 2025, Usyk's legacy is still growing. With a net worth of $50 million, he's achieved financial success, but his focus remains on family, faith, and country. He said he fights for his children, Yelizaveta, Maria, Kirilo, and Mikhailu, to give them a better life than he had growing up. His wife, Katerina, remains his biggest supporter, and he credits her for keeping him grounded. Historians and fans will remember Usyk for his skill, but also for his heart. He overcame childhood illness, poverty, and war to become a champion. His story resonates with anyone who's faced long odds. In Ukraine, he's a national treasure, with streets and gyms named after him. Globally, he's a symbol of what's possible when talent meets determination. Looking ahead, Usyk's legacy will depend on his future fights and how he shapes the next generation. Whether he retires after the Du Bois rematch or continues, his place among boxing's elite is secure. He's shown that a kid from Crimea, once too sick to play sports, can become Oleksandr the Great, a champion who fought for more than himself.